What's up, folks? I was talking with some people, and something that stuck out to me was the topic of the structures, the mental structures of males within society, and the upbringing from childhood. And something that seemed to be very common was how it happens, like what a lot of young boys experience. And for myself, using myself as an example, I remember a lot of the male figures, the adult figures of my time. The most common advice that I would get or that I remember was more about appealing to the female. It was about sexuality and stuff like that. You got to do certain things. You got to walk a certain way. You got to carry yourself a certain way. And that way the girls are like this and like that. And I mean, that was pretty much it. And it's like, aside from that, there were the other concepts, the other aspects of the subliminal messages, the subconscious, the programming, where it's like you're taught not to express any real emotions, or rather, I should say, you're not taught how to deal with emotions, how to break stuff down. So it's like you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to be emotional in any kind of way. And then at the same time, you got to keep your head leveled. You got to keep things together. You got to appeal to the opposite sex, and that's pretty much it. So the other things were the exposures to, I mean, what else you're supposed to have. And there weren't too many, in my case, how can I say, male figures who were sending the right type of messages in the sense of, okay, like an example, differences between a job and a career. A job is essentially something you do. A career is practically something you build on, a lifestyle, something that you can grow on. And it's like you're always taught, well, at least for me, you got to go out there, you got to work hard, you got to make the money. And it's like, okay, cool. But when you're a child, what do you do out there? Like, what is a job application? What is developing credit? Understanding how to have a focus, how to have any ambitions or aspirations. Who are your heroes? Whatever. Career choices, educational, structures, background, whatever. These things we're not focused on. And so it's like when you go from being like a kid, you're 6, 7 years old, it's all about play. You're taught you better not cry, you better not, whatever. And then you're a teenager, and now you're around a whole bunch of other boys who are pretty much taught the exact same thing. They follow the exact same paradigm. Don't express any emotions. Don't whatever. Don't mess up. Don't whatever. You got to always appeal to the opposite sex. And then you get these whole bunch of teenagers who are just like, you have a lot of troubles that are going on in your mind, no way to break it down, and you come across another person who's just like you, it's just like, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So then, fast forward even more, you go from your teen years to your late teens or your early mid-20s, whatever. And it's like the moment you're there into adulthood, everything is hitting you fast because you're being taught, oh, you better make sure you pimp, you better make sure you do this limp or whatever with your walk, and you got to carry yourself a certain way, you got to lean to your side, do all this stuff. But then when you go out there and now you're being interviewed for a job, you're seeking to develop what? You don't even have anything. So it's like, then at the same time, now you're an adult and you're being bashed for not being able to take care of yourself or do whatever. And, it's like you can't wait until somebody is now an adult to suddenly try to teach them all of the things that they needed to learn during their developmental years. For myself, it's like I was always working construction. I've been doing that for like my whole life. And but having an actual focus, I mean, I've done a lot of things. I've worked with science and technology. I love physics and biochemistry and anthropology and sociology. And I've myself have so many acquired hobbies and skills, but that was just me. And because of that, there was not a whole lot of people I could relate to because they weren't being taught to be, to aspire to do other things. And even for myself, I just did that because they were my particular interests, and then I stumbled across life changing, like particular choices and junctions and stuff that eventually led me to do another thing. But it could have been different, because it's like a lot of the things that I took on, there were a couple of people who did point me in a certain direction. I remember certain teachers that would talk about science and talk about math and tell me about interesting futures and stuff like that. But I mean, they were very few and far between. So it's like a lot of my interests, a lot of the things that I got into, that just happened to be, that was just me. But I can understand how a lot of these brothers out here, a lot of people, they struggle because without that guidance, without those instilling values, what you got, you're told two different things. I mean, that pretty much don't lead you to anything else. And it's really bad, because now we got these guys who are out there who are angry, frustrated, confused. You're not allowed to express that because you don't have a platform. If you do open your mouth talking about what type of issues you have and what type of things you're going through, you get snuffed out because somebody else is going to say, well, I mean, you're going through something, but somebody else is going through worse, or, whatever. So it's like there is no time to really reflect on yourself, to really seek, no, there's no nothing, no type of advice. And suddenly those things that you were raised to be, like these strengths or whatever, they're not even really strengths to begin with, because when you're raised to be this aggressive, person who doesn't show any emotions, whatever, now it's considered, you're a little possessive. Maybe you're too aggressive. Now you're abusive. And it's like the things that you're raised to believe are core values and strengths of a man are now being used against you once you reach that particular moment in your life. And it does suck because it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Yeah, what was your upbringing like? What things were like for you? Maybe there's some things you agree or don't agree with. I don't know, but yeah, share what you got. Thanks.